This is CHSR 97.9 FM here in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. This is Python's Paradise, your film and music show, and this is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena. And folks, The Hangover is celebrating its 10-year anniversary. I don't know where the time goes, folks, because I remember seeing that more than once in the theater when that came out. And I have somebody from the film on the line right now. I have the lovely, the beautiful, the gorgeous Natalie Fay. How do you do, Natalie?
Hey, Greg, what's going on?
Well, as long as neither one of us are hungover like the Hangover, we're fine.
This is true. This is true.
We all know what happens when you know. Yeah, what's it like right now in Miami?
Well, I'm in Miami. It's been in and out of rain. It's Saturday afternoon, and it's a nice day to just chillax and go see some friends.
Well, you know what? I've never been out that way before, and I know the movies make it look beautiful, so...
Yeah, well, they don't have to try hard because it's a pretty beautiful city.
Do you know where I'm located here in New Brunswick, Canada?
No, but I know I think I took a class of history of Quebec and Canada in high school, and it was one of those subjects that I would actively try to. Just kidding. But yeah, no, I've never been to New Brunswick. I have friends from New Brunswick, but I've never been.
Oh, you got friends out this way, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? To gear up for this interview, I got myself all schooled up on The Hangover, and I watched Old School again as well. And I gotta say, Todd Phillips has casted you in quite a few of his projects. How did you get connected with him?
So I met Todd Phillips on the set of Old School.
Mm-hmm.
I was friends with Alicia. We had mutual friends in common from Montreal. I don't know if you know this about me, but I was actually born in Montreal, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Canadian. Alicia Cuthbert is as well from Montreal, and we had mutual friends in common. And so I was on the set of Old School. I was supposed to be a featured extra, and I was just hanging out with everybody and got along with Alicia and the whole crowd. So Todd decided to give me a line in that scene that I had with Alicia.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked out well, and stayed in touch. And when The Hangover came out, my agent was like, "Hey, Natalie, there's this movie coming out. Try to get an audition for it." So he got me an audition. I auditioned for 2 parts, and I was cast as Lisa.
Yeah, I like that scene too, and it's usually one of those clips that's often played. The whole "Did Caesar live here?" scene.
It's a good scene. It's a really good scene with great actors and in a great movie. It's awesome.
You know what? You did a great job in that scene because, you held your own against 3 very well-seasoned actors. And here you are. Number one, you get to be all dressed up, all classy. It doesn't take much to do that with you because you're already stunning. But, yeah. So talk about the wardrobe there to get you all done up for that hotel scene.
So yeah, it was actually really cool. We used the real uniforms of the employees at the Caesar's Palace, and what I never knew about these hotels is that basically underground it's like this whole other world of like buzzing and like it's like a factory behind the walls, and this is where we got dressed. We got the proper uniforms and attires from them, and there's just like there's like a city within a city in Vegas, and it all happens where you don't see it. It's pretty cool.
Yes. And of course, they approach the desk and there's this whole misguided situation with the credit card. Tell me, did you think that Ed Helms looks like a nerdy hillbilly?
I think Ed Helms is awesome, and I think he did a fantastic job at making everybody like crying, laughing. So yeah, he did a great job.
Did you call him Doctor?
I don't remember. Ed Helms is super nice. He was really nice.
I remember that line. They looked at him and said, Doctor. Then they looked at you and they said, he's a dentist.
Yeah.
And of course, Zach Galifianakis, who really came out of his own in this movie. They kind of like they got called a fat Jesus in the movie. He really came out and he stole this movie and really made him into a star. And of course, I love that whole play on did the actual Caesar stay there? You want to talk about a character that is very naive. But yet, what's interesting, because he really came into play when they needed him at the tables. So he wasn't exactly as much of a holdback to the group as one might think. He had his strength, he had his benefits.
Yeah, it's that classic story of the idiot savant, and these are the types of comedies that people love for. That's why I think that it's been 10 years and this movie's still so incredible and amazing, because these characters are so lovable, and we can all relate to parts of all of them.
So you met with Ed Helms, Bradley Cooper, who of course is really shot to stardom, and also Zach Galifianakis. I'm gonna get his name screwed up, but
yeah.
What was it like work? Oh, that's right, Justin.
Don't forget
Justin. That's right, Justin. Justin.
Yeah.
Justin, we got to give him props, because he just came off one of the worst movies ever, Gilly, and then he gets to redeem himself with this movie. And Gilly was not his fault. Was not his fault. But he was really great in The Hangover, and the friend that they lose. Talk about the atmosphere working with these four actors on that set.
It was great. What was so cool about being on set of The Hangover, I think, is that everybody from the crew and everybody was just buzzing. Everybody was really happy. Everybody knew that they were working on something really special, and it's kind of like everybody knew that the Hangover was gold, and it was going to be great. It was just something that people knew from while we were making it, and I think it transpired on the screen that people love to watch these guys who were just doing such a good job and having such a great time.
Did you relate to these characters? Like, did you ever meet people like this growing up?
Did I ever meet people like what?
Like these four guys, they're so relatable.
Yeah.
But they also get themselves into trouble because of substance abuse. Mm-hmm. And have you ever met people like that in your own life?
Yes, I certainly have. I grew up in Miami. I've lived in LA for a long time. So, I've certainly seen my fair share of people doing, taking fun too far.
Yeah. Well, they take fun too far. the script for The Hangover must have been gold to read. Like, I saw this a few times when it came out in theaters in 2009, and I fell in love with it. It was this, it was crude comedy, but it had heart, and it was brilliant. I thought the movie was brilliant. What did you think? When you read the script? Did you get the whole script, or just your scene? Did you get to read the whole thing?
I got to read the whole thing. I was literally lolling out loud when I was reading it. It was very funny to read on the page, just as it was funny to watch. Even though there was a lot of ad-libbing in the movie, the script on the page was also, very funny and very well written.
Who was the biggest ad-libber?
I was secretly wishing, I was like, gosh, I wish I could be Alan and just play this disturbed creep, but obviously it was written for but it was a really fun script to read.
You wanted to be Alan so you could have this little kid take a taser to you?
Totally. I mean, it's just such a fun. It just seems so fun to just to just completely self-abandon and just act completely, insane and disturbed and wild. It just seems like so much fun. And when I read it, I was like, I wish.
Who was the biggest ad-libber on the movie? Like when you did your scene?
I would have to say it was Zach.
Zach, okay.
Yeah, but Zach has a long background doing stand-up comedy. I wasn't surprised.
He came off very naturally for playing such an odd character too.
He's great. He's really great.
Did you ad-lib any, or did you just go by what was on the script?
No, we ad-libbed. There were different variations of what we did, and I mean, it was 10 years ago, but we certainly ad-libbed a lot. And it was mainly just like, we stuck to the script, but jokes would be added in. So,
okay. Well, yeah. Todd Phillips must have had a lot of faith in you. After you got introduced in Old School, he must have had a lot of faith in you when he brought you back for this movie, because you're on screen here for a much longer period, and you got a lot more lines.
Yeah, well, thanks. Yeah, it was a huge blessing and a wonderful experience. And in my opinion, I think Old School and Hangovers are like two epic movies, and I'm in both of them. So when I count my blessings every night, it certainly makes the list.
Well, yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing. Being in The Hangover doesn't hurt anybody,
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I loved The Hangover. I thought the ending credits to the film were absolutely brilliant. How they tied in all of the missing information, so to speak. I thought that was brilliant.
And they added more.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now, you had that scene there, but did you get to meet any of the other cast, like Heather Graham or Mike Tyson, or even the Tiger?
I didn't meet the Tiger. I met Ken what's his last name? I met Ken. I met Ken's wife. I've met Heather. I met I don't remember. I don't think I met Mike Tyson, but I did meet a large part of the cast, because the movie was so awesome, we had several screenings and opportunities to run into one another and see each other. I met the wonderful actress who played Ed's wife, bitchy wife.
Yeah,
like that was just such a good part too. There's so many juicy good parts in that movie. It was awesome.
I got to click on The Hangover here because I'm trying to remember who played Ed's wife, because she's done, I think she was in Bad Words as well, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Rachel Harris, that's it. She's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, what was your impression of Ken and Heather when you met them?
I mean, Heather's an icon. I've
Mhm.
been, she's been Miss Super Hot and Amazing since I was a little girl. She's amazing. And Ken is such a humble. He comes from a medical background. He was a surgeon, I believe it was. Super smart, super humble, been through stuff, like super cool dude. I saw his Netflix special, his stand-up, and he was so funny. He was so funny. Did you get a chance to see that?
I haven't. I actually only got my television set up to watch my Blu-rays,
Oh,
Yeah. So I can watch movies like The Hangover and Old School over and over.
perfect. That's all you need.
Yeah. Did you meet Rob Riggle?
No, I didn't.
There's so many standout characters in this movie. Jeffrey Tambor, I mean, so good in this movie.
Yeah, so good.
What was your favorite moment working on this movie?
I would have to say it was offset at the we had a poker tournament.
Okay.
And it was cast and crew, and it was just super fun.
Mm-hmm. Let me guess, Zach won, right?
There were so many people. It was a fairly large tournament. I don't think I stayed around to see who won. I probably got knocked off pretty early on, but I had a great time playing.
Yeah, I love this movie. Now, I don't know what you think of The Hangover 2 and 3. I gotta be honest, I did not enjoy them. I found that, especially The Hangover 2, they just repeated the same movie except different locations. And it's like, you know what? Why deliver the same movie? Why not try something a little different to make your sequel stand out? But that original film, I think, was a masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the sequels?
Yeah, I've seen them. They're fun movies. Fun movies, fun guys, great team. Todd, is a master at what he does, and I really, think that he has a great eye for mixing edgy and funny, and I don't know. I like the movies.
Now, let's not forget his curly hair, sunglasses, and mustache.
Yeah, that's right. He always makes a cameo in all of his movies. That's what he does.
Yeah, and he's probably the biggest standout cameo director since Hitchcock.
Do you remember what his cameo in Old School was?
Yeah, he shows up at the house.
So he's got a self-deprecating kind of like humor going on.
Yeah.
Funny. And then the one in Road Trip was hilarious. He was the foot fetish guy.
Yeah, that's funny. He's got a great look to him, like in The Hangover, you see him on the elevator, the woman's touching his hair, and he's like trying to brush her hand away. I like trying to maintain some dignity, which he doesn't have in this character. Yeah, I love The Hangover. Did you think it was going to be as successful as it was?
I knew it was going to do well, but I remember the first opening weekend, I think it was, and I got a call from my agent, and he's like, check the newspaper. It broke all records, and it made $500 million or something like that, and the numbers kept going up. It was a very, very exciting time, and I was very, very happy for Todd and his team.
Yeah, well, it could play easily double billing as along something like National Lampoon's Animal House. It's got that same kind of mentality. And, I love it, especially when an R-rated comedy comes along that's really smart and is able to pull it off. I mean, The Hangover, I think, if I remember correctly, was number 6 at the year-end box office that year. That's got to blow your mind.
Yeah.
So I was happy to see it do so well. I'm actually surprised. I mean, the Academy Awards have never been real friendly with comedy, but I think the screenplay for The Hangover that took some ambition to come up with all that and then tie it all off there at the end, you know?
Mm.
That speaking of the ending, was that in the script or was that something they just come up with on the cuff?
You know, I don't remember. I want to say that it was added, that it was not in the script.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure it was not in the script.
Okay.
So this is just what I was talking about earlier. There's just these little added golden gems that were thrown in on top to an already good script, which just, made such a great product.
Yes. And I watched Old School, of course, the other night in preparation for this, I got to say, I have met Joe Medjukt, the producer. He is actually from here, and he was at the film festival here the year before Old School opened, and I remember I got him to sign my copies of Private Parts with Howard Stern and Stripes with Bill Murray, and I asked him about working with various people, and I had a great chat, and I remember he mentioned the next movie he was involved with was Old School, and yeah. And of course, what people remember most about Old School is a naked, streaking Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Are you disappointed you weren't in that car with those ladies when he backed his ass in there?
I did. I was not in the car with those ladies, but I do remember seeing him walking around the set, and he had a potato sack covering his private parts with yarn, with a G-string yarn. That was the yarn that you tie a turkey with.
Yep.
So that's what he was walking around in, and Will Ferrell is known to be really shy, and he was almost naked, and I felt really lucky to see him in like that.
You didn't walk up to and say, selfie, selfie.
No, I did not.
That's...
I wish I would have.
Was he embarrassed to be like that, or did he just go along with it?
I don't know. I don't know. He seemed like he was a little bit shy, so I didn't want to make him feel any more uncomfortable by approaching him when he was not very well clothed.
It's interesting because in The Hangover, I hear a lot of comments in articles saying that Heather Graham will pretty much do anything. And of course, you see her just out of nowhere, just pulling her top off and breastfeeding this baby in the scene, and as if it's just a common thing, And of course, you see that in public, you're kind of you got people that are disturbed by it. Me, it doesn't make any difference, but Heather Graham, obviously, or at least from what I've been reading, don't quote me, doesn't seem all that shy about stuff like this. I mean, look at her in Boogie Nights as Roller Girl, she can take challenges. Did you get the... I don't know, I guess you weren't on set with Heather Graham, but I guess the vibe with Will Ferrell, you're saying he was shy, but boy, did he put in a gusto performance going down there.
Yeah.
And being naked around all those women must have been a nervous thing, but boy, he really stole the movie with just that scene.
Yeah.
Yep. And of course, going up there and telling Snoop Dogg, let's streak. Did you enjoy working with Alicia Cuthbert?
Yeah, she's awesome. She was, she was at the height of her. I think she was on 24 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
She is good people, very good people.
Yeah, she had a curious role in Old School. She ended up being presented one way, and then when the dawn of a new day comes, she's seen in a new light.
Yes, it was definitely unexpected.
Yeah,
Hilarious.
yeah. So, who did uh, who did you meet on? Because you're just seen briefly here, but you got Luke Wilson, you got Vince Vaughn, Jeremy Piven, Ellen Pompeo, Juliet Lewis was fantastic in this, and just the two scenes she's in. I mean, you see her in Natural Born Killers and Strange Days, and here she really did well with comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who did you meet and gel with on set?
I mean, I certainly wasn't hanging out with the big stars. I did meet Luke Wilson, who I actually bumped into in later years in LA because I had become friends with his, at that point in time, live-in girlfriend, and I was like, oh gosh, like this is gonna be weird. I'm like, I have to tell this girlfriend now that I met her boyfriend once and he probably doesn't remember me, but if I don't say it, it's gonna be super weird. So I had to tell her, and he was super gracious about it and cool, and he remembered, or at least pretended to, and then we all hung out and were great friends.
Okay. Yeah, and of course Sean William Scott, he was great in this with that mullet haircut.
Right, the dart in the neck. That was such a good scene.
Yeah, the dart in the neck, and Matt Walsh, Artie Lange, and of course Lee Remini, also in this as well. So you had a great cast in this movie. So yeah, I watched that in preparation because I hadn't watched Old School in a while, and I was like, were you one of the girls in the car? And I guess you weren't, because I remembered you in The Hangover.
Yeah. No, I had it was, when I would come back to Miami back in those days, people would be like, hi Mitch. That was my line. So I think for about a good 10 years that people wouldn't call me Natalie. They'd just be like, hi Mitch.
What do they say to you now? Do you get recognized now?
Every now and again, people will recognize my voice. People will think that they know me from somewhere, but they can't pin it. And it's kind of fun, and I just kind of like, I play along.
Do they try to get into Caesar Palace?
Yeah, those are funny jokes. I always love those jokes.
And then, of course, Todd Phillips, he must have a lot of love for you because he brought you into Due Date.
I think at that point, like, Todd is a poker player. So Todd is, I think at that point, because I had been involved with Old School, and then I had been involved with The Hangover. I think at that point he really wanted to have me on board in Due Date because I had been lucky, or there was a pattern that was developing. So, so that was very cool too. And he does like to work with the same people, cast and crew.
Yep.
And it's a nice like camp vibe. Everybody knows each other, gets along well, and it's cool.
Yeah, he brought back Zach Galifianakis, and Juliet Lewis also returned for this. Matt Walsh back, all who worked with him. But of course, you got the addition of Robert Downey Jr., Michelle Monaghan, Jamie Foxx, Danny McBride. You got some really good actors. Pardon me?
Huge stars.
Yeah, and you played the flight attendant. Talk about this.
Okay. No, I mean, for one, living in LA, you kind of bump elbows with all kinds of celebrities and whatnot. So you learn to get used to it. I'm not a person that I think has gotten starstruck very often, but certainly when I was on set with Robert Downey Jr., I was like, gulp. So, because he's, larger than life,
Mm-hmm.
and Charlie Chaplin, and just like, so, and we're on the stage on the Warner Brothers lot in this airplane, and it's tight quarters because we're shooting on an airplane, and my good old friend Zach was there, and it was a funny scene, and Robert Downey Jr. is just super cool. Like I was admiring him and working with him at the same time. It was a very surreal, out of body experience.
I got some films there that I have not seen, but I want to ask you about them though. It was Blonde and Blonder with Pamela Anderson and Denise Richards, two very beautiful women. Talk about working on this.
So this is a little scene that I had shot up in Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very small part, not that there are small parts, but I'm not sure that I had dialogue. If I did, it was, I certainly don't think my character had a name. I was like the roulette girl or the craps girl.
Mm-hmm.
It was. But it was super cool. I was in Vancouver for the first time. Pamela Anderson and Denise Richards are total babes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was a fun, it was like supposed to be the Dumb and Dumber version for females. And, to me, Dumb and Dumber is one of the most genius epic movies ever made.
I saw Dumb and Dumber on its opening night here in Fredericton. When we used to have a 4-screen theater, we don't have it anymore. They built a 10-screener, but I remember seeing it in Theater 1, the biggest of the theaters. My brother Andrew and I saw it on opening night, and I tell you, that was a memory seeing Dumb and Dumber at that theater.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's so good. I mean, the jokes are still so good.
Mm-hmm. Well, I remember when Jeff Daniels had the toilet scene, this theater just erupted.
Yeah, literally. No, and not too long ago, I had the DVD of it, and my nephew, I made him watch this movie, and the pet's heads are falling off. There are just so many scenes that just brings you crying, laughing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so genius. It's just so funny.
Yes, it is. Yep. Now, I also have not seen Somewhere, but you get to work with director Sofia Coppola. Talk about working with her.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was another huge, really fortunate experiences where, people that you're like, oh my goodness, that you respect so much, especially from a feminism standpoint. Like she's so accomplished and so powerful and amazing, and then to be hired by her was almost like, it was really, really cool. The movie it's a movie about LA,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if it was one of her more notable movies, but it certainly was really important that she made the story about Chateau Marmont and the history around and the stories around this building in Los Angeles. And she's very thought-provoking, and she takes risks, and I think that's what I love about her as in her movies, that she really takes risks and goes for it.
Yeah, and she had Stephen Dorff was in this, Ellie Fanning.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I haven't seen this. I didn't even know she had this. I've seen Lost in Translation and the Bling Ring and stuff like that, but no, I didn't know about this movie. But it's interesting that you got to work with her, and of course, Layover.
Mm-hmm.
Layover, now again, did not see this, but you got top billing in this. Talk about getting top billing in a movie.
That was super exciting. Also, Joshua Caldwell, who is super talented, super young, super everything going on for him. Got a great aesthetic, and he's another one who approaches filmmaking as there's like a scientific kind of way to explore, find out, and then finish. And like an auteur, I certainly think that Sofia Coppola and Joshua Caldwell have this auteurship that you learn about in film school.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the French word for author, which is ascribed to filmmakers who really artistically tell these beautiful stories through pictures. So Joshua, he makes a lot of female-driven movies. He wanted to do an experiment where instead of having to make movies for other people, he wanted to make movies for himself on his own terms and explore, like make movies how he wants to make them without having the input of a committee. So
Okay.
he kept the cost low, and he was able to do that because he's so talented, and that was Layover. I mean, it was, it was experimental. It was in French with English subtitles. Like it was very bold and it was great and really successful. It premiered at the Seattle Film Festival back, I think it was in 2015. I was pregnant at the time, in a high-risk pregnancy, so to my detriment, I was not able to attend, but I should have, and it's something that I regret, but, what could I do? I was,
A lot of these films, too, that I mentioned that I haven't seen, they didn't come to our theaters, so, but I love the opportunity to get you talk about them so that people that listen to this interview can, check these out. And what was it like going for, like, you played these smaller parts, in the Todd Phillips films and whatnot, but here you're in a lead. What was it like? Were you nervous playing a lead, or did you just go into it?
I just went into it. It was a very intimate cast and crew.
Mm-hmm.
So there was not much to be nervous about. It was really exciting. And the biggest drama or pain from an acting job is that when it's over, you get so depressed and bummed out because the fun's gone. So being in every single scene, I really got to enjoy, exploring the character, making the movie with Josh and the team, and being creative and an artist. So this is what we all work towards. So it was awesome.
Now, you're fluent in English and French. Now, I'm only fluent in English in 5 o'clock traffic. I never passed French in school, It just wasn't one of my talents to pick that up. I admire people that can speak multiple languages.
I thought in Canada you have to speak French as a requirement to pass high school.
If I passed, I might have barely passed, but that would have been it. If I did, then you know what? It's beyond my head. I'm just glad to be out. I did graduate. When I got out of school, I was like the character at the end of Midnight Express, breaking out of prison and running, doing that jump. Yeah, no. But yeah, you can do English roles and you can do French roles. Do you have a preference, or does it matter?
They're both cool. I think the mannerisms and the body, the way that you express, the way that you use your physical vessel is a little bit different in a different language.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool, but personally, I mean, I'm more comfortable speaking in English than I am in French. I can memorize lines and speak in French. I can speak to my family in French. but I'm not the best French speaker.
You're beyond me.
Yeah, well, I don't know. There, if you go to Paris, there's a lot of disdain.
Oh, well. So tell me, have you ever done the convention scene before?
If somebody had told me about that, I just thought like nobody would want to see me at a convention. That's ridiculous.
I would.
Thank you. That's sweet. Well, recommend me.
Well, the Hangover's celebrating its 10-year anniversary, so I was wondering, is there anything coming up for panels or whatnot, But, I mean, don't ever call yourself down. You'll be amazed at how many people who have bit parts in movies that are brought in to do these conventions, and people go, yeah. Like, you would be surprised.
Wow. Yeah, someone had mentioned that to me, that there's this panel that's in twice a year in Chicago and I think in San Diego or something.
Mm-hmm.
And but I don't know. Maybe. That would be fun.
Yeah.
I love Chicago too. Chicago's awesome.
Yeah.
Would you go to Chicago to meet me?
You know what? I do not have what do they call those? What's on the tip of my tongue to get into the States?
A passport?
Passport. There you go. I feel stupid not knowing that, but I don't. The States right now kind of scares me because every time you read the newspaper or turn on the radio, there's a shooting or something going on. It makes us folks in Canada a little nervous.
Yeah, it's pretty sad and stressful, and I hope that people change soon, because it's not a good situation, and it's certainly not a good feeling for us too.
Yeah. But I mean, I had lived my whole life here in New Brunswick, and it wasn't until 2017 that a Canadian actress invited me to Toronto for a horror film convention. And it was the first time I'd ever been on a plane, first time I'd ever been in a city that big, like Fredericton compared to Toronto. Quite a difference. But I had so much fun, I'd love to meet you at one of these conventions, and never ever sell yourself short.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Greg.
Yeah, I mean that, I mean, you're in the Hangover, and you're in Old School, so, I mean, you got, those are badge of honors for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's a question I ask all my guests. And I guess you can't answer it from a convention standpoint, but just any time around, have you ever been? What's the most interesting thing you've ever been asked to sign?
Not that many things. I think I signed a bra once, but it was for charity.
Okay.
That was gonna get auctioned off, and I was in a pile of signatures. So it was at one of these like Hollywood sweeps things.
Okay.
A while back. That was pretty odd, but people don't. I've gotten asked to take pictures with, but not so many signatures.
Okay.
Yeah.
You gotta get to a convention up here, and I'll get a picture with you.
All right.
You gonna wear your flight attendant's outfit or your desk clerk outfit?
Well, I didn't get to keep that one, unfortunately.
No. Well, listen. Do you have any charities that you're involved in that you'd like to plug on here?
Yeah, so there's a local charity in Miami. It's a children's home,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called His House.
Okay.
And they are very involved in these children. And if anybody wants to donate resources or time to them, Let me give you their website address is www.hhch.org.
Okay. And that's a charity that's dear to you that you're involved in as well, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a website or anything that you'd like to plug on here?
No, not really. I mean, if anybody wants to buy some real estate in South Florida, hit me up. But other than that, you know.
You know, I noticed that when I went to call you. You're involved in real estate now. Now, I've had some other guests that are involved with real estate too. So what got you involved in that?
I was always very interested in real estate. When I was in college, in the very beginning, I went into an architecture major right away.
Mm-hmm.
I love drawing. I love real estate. But I really wanted to be an actor. So when I realized and I was looking around and into my college classes, I saw that, you know, even being an architect is fairly competitive, that there's really no guaranteed path to success. Because I knew I didn't want to be a doctor or a lawyer like all my friends. Like, that was for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I was trying out architecture and I saw, well, there's no real, like, path to success, I might as well just do what I really want to do, which is be an actor, which is what I wanted to be since I was 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So then I went to LA and I transferred out to LA and I stayed there for college and did acting and had no intention of coming home until I got pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. So you're not going to sell a house to Todd Phillips?
You know, maybe I should call him or email him. I'll be like, hey, I got this amazing property. I don't know if Todd loves Florida. I'll have to ask him.
I think
Who
you
doesn't
can.
love Florida? I mean, the
There you
tax
go.
benefits are insane, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what do you got coming up in the future? Any acting gigs? Because I noticed your Internet Movie Database is done at 2014. Please tell us you got more projects.
You know, it's been a while. I've been busy with transitioning to being, you know, a young mom and all of that. My son is getting a little bit older now. I'm getting a little bit more flexibility. I did shoot a part last summer, but I made it. I was on the cutting room floor, so I didn't make it to the screen. But that's okay. It was a great experience for the director of Drive.
Okay.
Landon Ruffin. And that was a very cool experience. And when things come up, I'll certainly fly out and do the work. I would love to ultimately live in New York City because it's just my kind of town.
Okay.
But, you know, right now I just have my family that I have to be with.
Or what do they think of the fact that you were in movies like The Hangover and Old School?
Oh, my dad doesn't give a shit. I mean, he's the reason why I'm like, Dad, love me, like typical actor. Dad, love me. Look, I was in this movie. Do you want to go see it? It's in this theater. And he didn't give a shit. And then his friends started telling him, like, Natalie was in a movie. And then that's when he started giving a shit. So, you know, my dad, God bless him.
What did he think of The Hangover?
I don't know. My dad is so French. He probably didn't even understand one word, and like, you know. But I'm sure he thought it was funny and cute, and like, I know he was really proud of me.
You know what's funny? I get the same thing out of my folks when it comes to doing the show. You're my 321st interview from yeah, and I've interviewed people from all kinds of movies, and I've interviewed loved ones from performers that have passed, and I bring this up, you know, just trying to impress my folks, and sometimes I think because I'm not making money at this, they don't get it, you know. But I don't know. I just love doing this. It's amazing to watch a movie like The Hangover. Your scene comes up, and I'm like, I talked to her. It's money can't really buy that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I just enjoy it. But there are times, like I'll mention, if you know so and so, and they'll be like, ask me how I got hold of them, but. Social media, when I was in high school, I would not have been able to do this some 30 years ago. but yeah. Is there anybody in the business that you would just be a dream for you to work with, that you would love to work with?
Yeah, like Natalie Portman or Kate Blanchett, or like all of these like badasses that just make acting seem like, a different dimension.
You still in touch with Todd Phillips?
Every once in a while, like a couple times a year, happy holidays, Christmas, things like that. I know he's got the movie The Joker coming out. I have to reach out to him, congratulate him for sure.
Oh yeah. You know what? I haven't looked into that. He's the director behind The Joker?
Yes, he is.
Oh my goodness. I know the movie is coming out. I did not study. I know Joaquin Phoenix is in it.
Yep.
But I haven't exactly been looking into it as far as its details go.
Yep.
Wow. There's a lot of positive vibe going into that movie.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Okay. This is something different for him.
It is, but it isn't, because if you look at his early career, he started out in documentaries, and I don't feel it's that different. I feel like I think it's perfect, actually.
Why didn't he ask you to be in this?
I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sure he's got a long line of actors and people to work with. I don't know.
Well, it's funny because I see Robert De Niro listed for this, and a lot of people are saying this movie compares more to Taxi Driver than a Marvel or DC movie.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm
I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm sure it's going to be really special and unique and deep and funny and scary and.
Well, I had no idea Todd Phillips was the guy directing it, I'm so used to seeing him do comedy, and judging from the trailers for this is, I'm not saying there's not humor in it, but I'm saying it seems to have a kind of a serious side to it.
Yeah, well, War Dogs wasn't really a comedy either. Did you see that?
War Dogs? Yes, I did. Yep.
I mean, there were funny.
Oh,
It was not a movie that I think you would consider a comedy.
Oh yeah, he did direct War Dogs, and you know what? I saw War Dogs too. That was okay. You know what? And I saw the War Dogs that one time. So no, I guess when I think of Todd Phillips, I see the curly hair, the mustache, the sunglasses, and I see the
foot fetish.
Yeah. The foot fetish.
Awesome.
You go get nervous if he ever gets you to do a foot scene?
Pardon me?
You go get nervous if he ever gets you to do a foot scene?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Depends what it involves. Foot scene sounds like pretty risque over here.
Well, you know what? I just got myself educated today. I did not know Todd Phillips had... I've seen War Dogs. I thought War Dogs was great, but I guess I didn't identify him with that. But nonetheless, we are identifying The Hangover, 10-year anniversary. What do you think 10 years have passed since that came out?
What do I think of it?
Yeah, like the fact that, like, where has the time gone?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't look any older. I don't know.
You still look great.
Else, but I look great.
You do look great.
Thank Thank you.
You look stunning, actually.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Good skincare regimen, sunscreen, and vitamins.
There you go. There you go. Well, you know what, Natalie? I was so honored to have you come on here today, and I know it was a wild booking, and I know you had the situation with the storm there in Miami that caught us off guard especially caught you off guard for a long time, but I'm really glad I was able to get you on here today to celebrate.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh yeah, I was happy to reach out and get somebody on here to talk about this movie. And when I found you, when you responded, I was like, I got the desk clerk. I got the desk clerk. I mentioned this to a few people too before this interview. You got a lot more people that remember you in that movie than you think.
Thank you.
Yep. Because when I mention the desk clerk, they immediately think Caesar's Palace.
That's awesome. Well, great. Thanks, Greg.
You're welcome. Now, before I let you go, can I get you to do a plug for my show?
Okay. Okay.
You ready? Okay, go for it.
Hi, this is Natalie Fay, and we're celebrating the Hangover's 10-year anniversary on Greg Gilbert's Python. What is it?
Python's Paradise.
Python's Paradise Radio out of New Brunswick.
Oh.
Do you want me to do it again?
Yeah, go for it. Try it again.
Okay. Hi, this is Natalie Fay, and we're celebrating the Hangover's 10-year anniversary on Greg Gilbert's Python's Paradise out of New Brunswick, Canada.
You know what? I've had other people that have come on here that's taken them 4 or 5 times to get that right. You did really good. I think Todd Phillips needs to get back in touch with you and get you in some more of the movies.
Email him. Tell him.
I'm going to have to tell him.
I have this documentary that I'm ruminating on.
Yep.
And I've been wanting to actually reach out to him about it, and I just need to muster up the cojones to pitch the idea to him, because I think it's a great idea, and it has to do with social change. And it has to do with, it's a documentary, so it has to do with social justice and things that are going on right now. And, I don't know, it'd be great to... Sorry, I'm a dog.
Yeah.
He's like, time's up, Mom, time's up. Hey, stop.
Your dog's upset because he didn't get to be interviewed.
No. He's a little chihuahua named Jackson.
You didn't name him Todd Phillips?
I didn't name him Todd Phillips. I think Todd Phillips would be offended if I named my chihuahua Todd Phillips.
You could give the chihuahua a little curly wig.
With a mustache.
And sunglasses.
Totally. A little afro.
There you go. Well, Natalie, thank you so much for coming back on here. And like I said, you get any other projects, even this one you're working on, in the works, feel free to come back on here. I'd love to have you back.
Thanks, Greg, and thanks for having me on today. It was great to talk with you.
It was wonderful to talk to you, too. God bless you, and you have yourself a wonderful day.
Thank you. God bless.
Thank you. Bye-bye.